Hello and welcome to a Bit of Film podcast. I'm Hatty.
And I am James.
This podcast is for film lovers, spoiler chasers, and general banter. We are two Brits in lockdown with too much time on our hands talking about films.
We both hold degrees and jobs in the creative arts. Yes, our parents are so proud that it ultimately led to this podcast. So we might go into some behind the scenes or production elements you might not know or be familiar with.
We release episodes every 2 weeks, talking about the latest film and TV offerings. If you love excessive defending of plot holes and mispronouncing actors' names, this is for you.
Please be advised we discuss spoilers, so please turn off if you haven't seen or keep listening if you don't care.
This week, we are talking about the 6th and final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, called One World, One People.
In the final episode, we jump straight back into New York, where Carly and the Flag Smashers have taken over the GRC meeting to stop the Pact Act vote. Sam, now in his new suit and aided by Bucky and Sharon, try to contain the ensuing chaos. John Walker arrives to avenge Lamar and stop Carly. Will it all end in tears? Let's find out.
News this week!
I didn't realise that, did you hear this, that Knives Out are now having their own series on Netflix. So there's like 2 and 3 of Knives Out are now coming to Netflix. And they're going to be like with Daniel Craig, but like different stories, as it were.
Oh, right. Oh, so when you say series, do you mean like there's two
trilogy,
more films that are going to be done
trilogy,
for...
that's the word I'm looking for.
Oh, thank God for that. That made... I thought you meant they were making like a TV series on Knives Out.
No. Sorry. I think that's going to be quite exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I like Knives Out.
Out of curiosity, then, because was Knives Out? No, Knives Out was done... No, because it got put onto Amazon, didn't it? It wasn't made as an Amazon original. Because I think it was released in cinemas, I believe.
Yes, it was. I saw it in cinemas.
Right, okay, fair enough. Okay. No, I was just curious because obviously Amazon then picked up the rights to show it. So the fact that Netflix has managed to nab the sequels is...
It's a Lionsgate production, so it wasn't funded by Amazon, but it just got released onto Amazon.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair enough.
Totally.
Okay. Well, I'm interested.
Did you like the first one?
Knives Out was really good. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I mean, Daniel Craig's character didn't necessarily strike me as the most bright detective, so the fact that they're keeping him as the central character for these other cases is a little odd, but
I'm with you.
Maybe they could afford Daniel Craig. He's not got much going on after Bond, so...
That's true. Whenever that gets released. Sometime.
I think September or November are the current slots. But,
it's moved like 6 times at this point.
Yeah. They have to keep republicising it. It's like Black Widow. It's been moved about 5 different times.
This is true. We got some pictures released for the Hawkeye TV series, which is with Haley
Steinfeld. I think it's
Yes.
Steinfeld, yeah. But well done for living up to the name of not pronouncing actors' names right.
I just don't think it's going to be as good as Arrow. That's what I'm going to say. That's just my prediction. It can't be Arrow. Arrow was brilliant.
I don't know. The beautiful thing is I haven't watched Arrow, so I have nothing to hold it up against. All I've got to hold it up against is WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, it'll be better than them, is my guess. Nah, it won't be as good as WandaVision. The other thing that got released was an interview with Adam Wingard, who was the director of Godzilla vs. Kong, and he explained that there's actually like a 4-hour cut that's missing.
Oh, no.
Wait. Because to explain why there's so many like characters that aren't fully like explained, and like why...
No.
You're just going to cut that down.
No.
Just no.
No, because what we don't want to happen is people excuse it. It's like with the Suicide Squad, and the first Suicide Squad, or like Rise of Skywalker. They all default back to there was more footage, but we had to cut it, and it would have made sense if we'd put the footage in. It's like, well, do a better job the first time round, edit it better. At the end of the day, if you're releasing a film that's 2.5 hours long or something like that, make it work.
I know.
You can't always default back to
if I had more time
cut out there that fixes it all. That's not how the movie industry works. All right, fair enough. We managed to get the Snyder Cut, but that's just opening a door for every director to say, well, there was more footage. If I could have had a 4-hour film.
I don't know what you're talking about, James. I won't turn down more Alex Skarsgård. I'm quite happy with that. I'll watch that.
Well, no.
No, I agree. It's a bit of a cop-out. Definitely.
That's what it was.
That was a smile, grimace, that was.
4 hour? No. Well, I mean, if he releases it, fine. I might watch it again. But the only reason I'm watching it, because we had this in the entire episode. We don't watch it for the humans.
Yes.
I don't care about having fleshed out development for the humans. What we want is the big monster fights. That's it.
Amen.
So don't try and justify the criticisms of your film by saying, "Oh, but I had 2 more hours of the humans." Who's going to want to watch that?
This is true. Okay, that's our opinion on
So
that
I'm
one.
just
Yeah,
shooting
yeah,
that
just
down, but-
boom, gone, guys.
Yeah. Well, it's my opinion. It's my opinion on that.
The Luca trailer has just dropped, which is the new Disney and Pixar creation. Basically, two wacky mermaids who end up turning human on land and going and spending time in Italy, which looks kind of fun, I have to admit. It's coming to Disney Plus on June 18th, I believe.
Oh, so is it a direct to Disney Plus? I haven't seen the trailer for this one, so I'm completely in the dark
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, I think it's going straight to Disney Plus. It looks like it. I hope so, because I'm not paying for it. I actually think it looks kind of fun and a bit silly. And yeah, I think it'll be a good
Well, I'll
one.
have to check out the trailer for that.
The other thing I want to talk about is, of course, the Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings trailer, which we didn't get to last time.
Yeah, which we completely missed the first time around.
So they've just dropped the teaser trailer for it as well as the normal trailer. I think it'll be fun. I think there'll be some amazing martial arts in it. But I mean, do you know more about the story? I kind of feel a bit coming in blind.
No, I did a bit of background research, as I always do, only because
Yes.
I'm interested. From the trailer, and keeping in mind this is just a teaser trailer, like we're not supposed to know the ins and outs of this at this point, but it looks the least marveliest movie that they've
definitely.
released so far. And it could be because they're now going down a different culture route, so to speak, which is great to see, and I am really looking forward to it. I do agree with you. I think even the brief action sequences that they showed in the trailer looked really slick and really cool, and I am looking forward to that. Yeah, there wasn't many elements that kind of build the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we know at this stage. It's almost like going back to the original Iron Man days. But I'm still intrigued. I'm still looking forward to it. The most I know is that, well, whether or not he's the villain or not, but Shang-Chi is the son of the actual Mandarin, who they obviously played with in Iron Man 3.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Now, I have a feeling it has been confirmed that they have got someone playing the actual Mandarin, because the Ten Rings, sorry, going into full nerd mode again.
Please do. I know nothing about this.
Well, the Ten Rings, the terrorist, well, I say terrorist organization, the Ten Rings appeared in the first Iron Man film. Like, the Ten Rings are the people who kidnapped Tony in the first place. And obviously in the third film, it's the Ten Rings who Ben Kingsley's character is playing the character of the Mandarin.
Yeah.
That wasn't as eloquently said, but the Ten Rings has been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe already. I imagine they're going to retcon the whole thing that Ben Kingsley and Guy Pearce's character, who I've forgotten the name of the villain, but like they were just using the Ten Rings as like a cover, so to speak. And then what we're actually going to see is the actual Ten Rings organization.
Interesting. Okay.
And probably some sort of like secret high-tech Wakandan level of power. I don't know.
Awesome.
That is my brief understanding of it. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't look like it could be a Marvel film. It looked like it could be a completely different film from a completely different studio, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I love that Aquafina's in it.
Who?
Oh my god. Aquafina? She's like the girl driving the bus in the trailer.
Oh, I've probably seen her in a few things, but I know that she's the voice of the dragon in Raya and the Last Dragon. That's as far as I've got.
I think her big kind of jump was when she did Crazy Rich Asians, but she's also done a TV series, I think, as well. Like Aquafina and Queens or something that also did quite well. She's a comedian, I think, by trade.
That would make sense.
But she's awesome. She's awesome. and I love the bus bit because I just got Speed all over again and was very happy that, like, yay, you weren't trying to, but yay. So yeah, no, looking forward to that one, and that's coming out
This year?
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm pretty sure it's coming out in like September.
Yeah, that's it. It's the 3rd of September. Sorry. Yes, it's coming out the 3rd of September.
Which is surprisingly quick. I mean, I know it's been in the pipeline for a while, and I think they must have been waiting for things to settle down and for cinemas to start reopening before they release. Because I think we've still got Black Widow, we've got Shang-Chi, we're still supposed to get the Eternals this year, and I have a feeling the Spider-Man film's supposed to come out at the end of this year.
Oh, that's good.
Unless that got delayed. So there's still a lot of films to get through.
That's good. COVID hasn't killed the cinema yet.
Well, it's not going to kill Disney, is it?
No,
Disney will be the last thing to remain after the world ends.
You know that Simpsons sketch where you don't say you're going to the cinema, you're going to see one of the Disneys, because everything will be open. Yeah, I think that's what we're getting to. Yay! Well, we'll see. Moving on to Falcon and Winter Soldier. I read this week that actually the show was supposed to have like a plague storyline, but due to COVID, actually they had to remove it, and that's why there's certain elements that feel disconnected in the series. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, it explains a lot of like some tough edit bits.
I heard the same thing as well. I mean, I think they mentioned it quite early on because in I think it was like episode 2 or something like that is when you've got the whole truck sequence, which you said was ripped straight from the Matrix. What did they say? That was medicine or something like that. Like they're shipping medicine, which made sense. Again, they're taking the medicine to these camps where people have been displaced. But I think they released around that time that they were originally supposed to be almost like vaccines or cures for some sort of virus or something like that. Which, yes, for obvious reasons, they changed. So I don't know. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's like when all the things that came out about WandaVision in the sense that there were certain plot lines that were cut or certain scenes or cameos that were taken out because of the pandemic. I know it's a big world-changing thing, but that's not really an excuse.
I don't. I think it's a little bit on the nose to do an entire kind of plague narrative if the whole world's in a mass global pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cruel that they wrote all of that and probably filmed some of it, and then COVID hit, and it's like, yeah, this is a bit too on the nose now. Yeah, no, we can't do this. Like, yeah, I feel sorry for them that they've had to do that, and I want to give them a little bit more credit and be like, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I suppose it's the argument of whether or not they should have waited until they could complete their original plan, so to speak.
Nah, as you said, they've got 4 films to get out this year.
Yeah, but the series are completely different.
Nah, you know they're going to cross over. I mean, that is the question from this that I want to know is like, what order are you supposed to watch this now? Like, can you just watch the films without watching the TV series, or is it expected that you have to watch the TV series?
No, see, we'll talk about this later on because I think part of this is a conversation after we've talked about the actual episode. I think I did read somewhere, I think it was a quote from Kevin Feige, who he reassured people that at the end of the day, if you have not watched the TV series, you will still be able to follow the films.
Okay. That makes sense.
Particularly in the sense of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I can definitely see that being the case. At the end of Endgame, we see Steve pass on the shield to Sam, and even if you've completely missed this series, when he appears in whatever next film he appears in as like this new version of Captain America
with wings,
you can follow it. There's nothing drastic that happens in this series that would.
What about WandaVision though? Wanda having Vision having kids. Yeah,
that's a little more difficult. I honestly don't know how WandaVision is going to work in it. Again, I think it's going to be more a case of it'll be interesting. I'm more interested in how WandaVision plays out in the films.
Yes.
Or how that influences the films, so to speak, because there's more in that. The fact that you've got Wanda's kids still out there somehow. You've got White Vision knocking about now. I mean, it could be that those plots, those characters aren't addressed in the films. They're addressed in future versions of TV series or something like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're subscribing to the MCU at this stage, chances are you've got Disney Plus.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
It's already going to be accessible. But in short, as far as I'm aware, Kevin Feige's made it explicitly clear that you'll be able to follow the films even if you haven't watched the series. It's almost like the series are just going to be
bonus content.
Yeah, to a point, like almost like backstories or origin stories or something like that. Okay. It just fleshes out the characters, but isn't necessarily tangible to the plot.
Yes, no, that is true. Okay, no, that explains that. Thank you. I kind of went on a deep dive this week into Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's interviews on YouTube, I suppose, and I didn't realize how hilarious they were. And I'm really sorry that Anthony Mackie isn't able to be Anthony Mackie more in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, we got flashes in it towards the end of this episode, but like, he's just hilarious and just completely will take people down if he wants to, and I love him. I absolutely love him. He's got the kind of, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, which he doesn't, they don't let him do for Sam, and yeah, that was sad. I don't know how much you've deep dived this.
I said this in earlier episodes of the podcast when we were talking about the series. Anthony Mackie does have, he has natural charisma, he has natural banter, which makes him a really likable person. In most of what I've seen of him when he's playing his characters, that does kind of bleed in, and that's part of the reason why you enjoy watching him, you enjoy his characters, even though he is more or less playing himself. But I suppose in this one, they had to sort of rein it back in because he still had to be this, well, symbol, I suppose. I get the impression that Anthony Mackie's a bit of a cocky kind of character anyway.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily work with the Captain America symbol image that they're all going for.
But at the end, it kind of merges really nicely. Like, you get him when the guy comes over at the end and he's like, "What up?" And like just he's totally like channeling himself, I suppose, through this character. And I feel like finally at the end, I was starting to get like, yes, this is Sam! Yay! He's found who he is. So yeah, that's just part of my like happiness going into this episode of like, yay! Finally, stuff's like being revealed of characters. So yeah, I felt like we got the full arc at the end of this episode, and I was very happy about that.
Good. Well, yeah, at least you got it in the end.
I know. So, where do you want to start?
From the beginning.
From the beginning. So, I'm right in saying we start with Bucky coming towards the GRC, now surrounded by police, which I will come back to, because where are they for the rest of the episode? I mean, what? So, Bucky's still a sergeant, which is impressive after like 100 years. Which
was odd. So I'm just going to pick apart this point already. Which I've seen that little detail in TikToks and on Instagram and stuff like that, which I thought was a really nice detail. Also, more to the point that at the end of the day, Bucky's now like he was just let into the not quarantined area or the crime scene area. You know what I mean? He was let past through the police barricade instantly. It wasn't like "who are you" kind of thing. It was like, no, do you not know who I am? I'm the Winter Soldier or whatever he goes by now.
Yeah, well, what is he going by? This is the other thing. What is he actually going by anymore? Is he going by Winter Soldier?
No, because that's his evil alter ego.
Well, exactly.
I think he'll end up becoming White Wolf or whatever the Wakandans called him.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is quite cool.
Yeah, okay, I'll allow it.
No, but I did quite like that. It was kind of like he's back in the game sort of situation. But
I love that basically in front of the GRC, which is the UN, there's just a list of like the Avengers, and they just tick you off and they're like, "Oh, it's you. Yeah, you can come in."
It's like, you are... Oh, yeah, you're there.
22B, yes, come through.
You survived, yes, yeah, put you on.
That's how I justified that.
Part of that, please.
And then this led on to Sharon putting some weird glue on her face and also walking through the police barricade to be like, "Hi, Bucky," and then I'm just gonna and hi. And now everything's fine. I can walk around as me.
Yeah, she was using the same camouflage, the face camouflage as I think Black Widow does in Winter Soldier. So it's, again, just to point out, that's been established in this universe. That is completely fine.
No, it's just the fact that she spent all her time getting through the police barricade to not show her face, and then once she's on the other side of it, it's just like, oh, I can run around New York now, it's fine. That was more annoying.
Well, it's because Emily Van Camp wants to show her face while she's acting, so I don't know.
That's true. So then the next thing that happens is that they gas the meeting, so everyone's on the run and panic ensues, which is fine, which is good. That was solid. And of course, creating chaos then led us to Boomerang Shield Wings moment, the new suit. Okay, first thing, can he turn his head? This is the question. Is this the curse of the Batman Dark Knight suit where Christian Bale can't turn his head? Because that's what I was getting. That Anthony Mackie could go, "Oh, I'm there," and that's it. "Oh, I'm there." like he looked like he there was so much neck padding that I wasn't sure he could actually turn his head.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. I thought he could turn his head.
Oh, okay.
I would have thought that by this point they figured that out.
I hope so.
I mean, we've got through how many Captain America suits?
This is true.
I don't think Chris Evans ever had that problem. So, God, it's weird how you pick up on those little details. Like you're watching this epic moment where Falcon, now Captain America, basically flies through the window using the shield.
Boomerang, yeah.
The big reveal of his new, I'm going to say, awesome suit.
Yes.
And what you're thinking of is, can he turn his head?
You're welcome. You're welcome, James. This is why you keep me around.
Oh, God.
No, I like that he still has the wings. Because I would have been sad if he lost them, because he's had so much time. Like, it was such a part of his character that if they lost that would be sad. So I was glad about that. And of course, it led to that wonderful line of, "That's the Black Falcon." No, that's Captain America. Yes.
Which was really cool.
That was fucking cool. It was a bit Godzilla versus Kong of like, what is that? That's Godzilla. No. No, what was it? What's the, like, that's Robot Godzilla or something. Like, no, that's Mega Godzilla.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't, well, no, it wasn't as,
It wasn't as cliche.
I know
as
what
that.
you mean. Yeah, it was the whole, that's Robo Godzilla. It's like, no, that's Mega Godzilla.
That's
that
it,
was,
that's it,
I mean,
right.
that was awful. I'd rather not relive that moment, if you don't mind.
Sorry, James.
It was a bit shoehorned in there, but it was more, yeah, I think the point was,
They had to have somebody say it, yeah. Okay.
they had someone
Yeah.
say it, but then they also had that joke with the kid in like episode 2 where he's like, hey, you're Black Falcon. And Sam's like, why? Because I'm black?
Yeah. No, this
Yeah,
is
so
true.
there's that whole exchange. So it's more of the point that the fact that he doesn't call him Black Captain America,
Yes.
he is just Captain America.
Captain America.
He is Sam. He is Captain America, which
Yes.
I thought was really cool. There was so much about this episode that I loved. Obviously, this was basically hands down straight Marvel action sequences, basically.
Yes. I don't
mean,
want to say
God-
Marvel porn, but it's kind of up there of just like, yes, this was full MCU or firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I'm not complaining about.
No.
This is exactly. I mean, we said in the last episode that they're gonna have to pull out the big guns for this finale, and I think they did to a point. To a large extent, I think they did.
That's true. That's definitely true.
I mean, so Sam's just come into the building and he's walking away to the meeting or something like that, and he says, "Who are you?" Says, "I'm Captain America," and that guy just says, "I thought Captain America was on the moon." It was such a throwaway thing, but I just burst out laughing. It was.
No, that's
really
true.
good. Although the greatest plot twist is going to be if it does turn out that old Steve is actually working in some sort of intergalactic space station or something like that.
I think the fact that Chris Evans was like, I'm interested in coming back is like, yeah, that's someone's having a cameo right there for that one.
No, but this is the thing. At the end of the day, if Chris Evans does come back, he'd have to be old Steve. He can't.
Yeah.
He'd have to be there in, which I think he'd probably be up for, but he'd have to be in old man makeup.
Yeah, I still think he wouldn't mind doing it. I think he can do it. I have faith in him.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd enjoy it. I think it'd be fun. I would like that. Well, I'm just going through the next thing is the I've written angry French guy, but he's got an actual name, B something.
Bartok or Bartok?
Bartok. Yeah.
Angry French guy. I mean, that is basically who he is.
I mean, he'll never be as good as the French guy from The Boys because Frenchie is brilliant in that.
Yeah, that's a completely different kettle of fish.
True.
Frenchie had character development.
Ooh. Yeah, he did.
Am I wrong?
No. So,
Angry French
Man is suddenly beating up Captain America with his wings and his fancy new suit. I mean, my only good thing about the suit is that practical on a battlefield? Because he's kind of glowing with all of his stripes. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really sneak up on anyone in that suit.
Yeah, I mean, you realise what universe we're talking about, right?
Yeah, this is true.
I mean,
okay.
What one of Iron Man's suits or Captain America's suit, or the Hulk, was in any way subtle.
Valid. I forget who I'm talking. Yeah,
I think Black Panther was the only one that might have been able to do stealth.
This is true. Okay. Yes, you're right. I'm just being mean. Yeah, it's just.
No,
yes, it's bold.
Yes, which is fair enough. No, it was very bold. I did like it. I thought it was really cool, and it is very heavily influenced on the comic book suit that Sam gets, and I think that's part of what the Disney Plus series are going to be sort of moving or emphasizing, I suppose. Like we got Wanda's costume in WandaVision, and then we've obviously had the same here with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I have a feeling that when we do see Sam's Captain America in the future films, they will probably like darken some of the blue or make the white grey and make it more like the suit that Steve wears in the Winter Soldier and kind of make it a bit more grungy, I suppose. I don't know. I can't think of the word.
Easier on the dry cleaning. Yeah.
Well, put it this way. I mean, at the end of the day, every time a new character gets a suit, or every time a character reappears in a future project, they tend to have a slightly different suit because, let's face it, Disney need to be able to sell their toys.
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay. No, we're agreed on that one.
And yeah, I think it worked. I think it was bold. I do agree with you there. It was bold. But I quickly got used to it. I just thought...
Yeah, no, actually, I'm with you. I did get used to it pretty quickly. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with that. I enjoyed how the Flag Smashers just had somebody really usefully in the building waiting for Bucky to come along so that they could hand a phone to him so that he could have a conversation with Carly.
Yeah, I'm going to defend it again. We know that the Flag Smashers have people, like they've got lots of followers everywhere.
Yes.
So I know what you mean. I don't think that person necessarily infiltrated. I think it was more of a case of this person was a subscriber to their cause.
And just happened to be
in the same
there.
sense that one of the guys we see, so when they're in the park in the previous episode and she does the thing with the app and then they all start walking towards her, one of those guys is like one of the security guards. I don't think he necessarily infiltrated to become a security guard, otherwise the GRC need to do their vetting.
No, that's true.
It's just the fact that and Sam addresses it in this episode, is the fact that their cause is well founded. Like they've got lots of people following them. So that's why they need to think again about what they're doing. They need to address what's happening. And we'll move on to that speech later on because that was a hell of a speech.
Yes, absolutely. The only thing that annoyed me about that phone call, it was like, come on, Bucky, have you not seen a distraction technique? Seriously, like, come on, man. Like, that was clearly just distracting him from what they actually needed, what was actually going on.
Yeah, to be honest, in terms of what Bucky was supposed to be doing in that scene, I'm not entirely sure. Because there was the point where, like, I think Sam says, like, don't let them leave the building. And then they immediately left the building. Yes. I don't know. But even part of it, like, even when Carly was having the conversation with Bucky, I mean, I suppose if it was a distraction technique, then fair enough, it worked. I think she says something like, have you ever fought for a cause that was bigger than yourself?
Yes.
And obviously he has, because he fought Thanos. It was like, Carly, do your research. You know who you're dealing
Doesn't he
with
say, like, twice and they both failed or something?
Yeah, something like that, which can't be referring to, well, I mean, he can be referring to Infinity War, but not Endgame. So unless he meant something to do with the Winter Soldier, I don't know. But,
I wondered if he did, yeah. It was a nice Bucky moment, thrown away as usual. No, it was good.
A lot of the lovely moments with Bucky in this episode. I mean, he's obviously got some great action sequences as well, but I'm talking about the moments that make your heart warm. Had nothing to do with him as his character, but it was more the way that he was reacting and smiling to Sam acting as Captain America. Like there's the moment later on where the truck full of all the people is almost going over. Yeah, Sam's basically arrived. He's keeping the truck upright and then pushing it back over the edge. And there's just a little shot of Sam like looking up and he smiles and it's like, oh, there he is. It's just so cute. It's really cute.
No, it was. I really felt like they were like a unit, and that they kind of like after previous episode where they finally kind of connected, I felt like they'd actually managed to keep that going, which was really nice.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, there was a lot of really nice moments with that one. Even like at the very end where he says like, "Good job, Cap." It's like, la la.
Yeah. So then you got the weird spidery things on the doors. Bucky and Carly are still on the phone. Sharon dropping the mercury vapor on the guard, which was dark.
Yes.
That was dark.
As far as Sharon in this entire episode,
badass is the word you're looking for.
Well, she's always been badass.
That's true.
Yeah, no, the fact that I suppose this is where I start to recite what you normally say, which is they kind of only scratched the surface in terms of the moments that involved her. I mean, she's tasked with stopping the biggest guy that the enemy have got. And then, straight up kills him with whatever that explosive was. That was basically melting his face.
Yeah, mercury vapor. Yeah.
There is a moment, like, she says that my guy's down or something like that. And Sam's asking, how did you manage that? And she tells them, but then nothing is kind of said after that. The fact that she has straight up killed the guy doesn't really, like, there isn't a moment in this episode where Sam and Bucky are questioning that. Even with the very end part, but which I'll go on to later.
I really like this. I actually, I know we've been complaining about the fact that Sharon's basically been on the phone like, hi guys, what's going on, for multiple episodes. But I kind of liked this episode that it was almost Zemo level of I'm going to do stuff and there's not really much you're going to be able to do to stop this. And I have a lot of, aces up my sleeve and I'm not going to show them right now, but you need me and you need me. And I really liked that, actually. I love that she's got some hidden depths that they can explore when they need to. I like that.
So she's going to be the interesting. And going back to what you were saying about when these characters reappear in other films. Now, we don't know if Sharon's going to reappear in a film or if she's going to appear in one of the many other Marvel projects that they've got going on. But if she appears in a film and she is who she is, people are going to be like, what?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened in between? I suppose it's a case of they are setting up other projects. They are setting up the world as Marvel always do in their films. So I think it's more the fact that with Sharon, yes, she was kick-ass, and I suppose, and you can start to see where they want to take her. But I kind of wanted more from her in this series.
That's true. I wanted more of the arc of why she became that.
And let's face it, the big reveal of her character, we all suspected, it was the least subtle thing that they have done this entire series.
Completely.
It's nice that we finally got the confirmation.
I'm the power broker.
Yeah, that moment fell a bit flat for me, really.
To be honest, it fell flat for me a few episodes ago, so I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, true. It was like, yeah, we know. Who else is it going to be at this point?
Yeah, so I'm disappointed after the last 2 times we've seen her, and it's like, well, clearly she's the power broker. Like, could you not think of any other scene to put her in? Anything else? Yeah, no.
I don't know. Maybe there was something that was cut because of the pandemic. I don't know.
I'm certain of it. That first time we meet her in Madripoor. Yeah, that edit there was something off there, definitely. So, yeah, I want to know what that was. I really want to know, but we'll have to wait probably. Anyway,
I don't know. I still think there were certain moments that they could have done better with that, particularly if they went down the whole route of no one actually knows who the power broker is. I don't know.
James, they could have done a whole episode on Sharon for the amount of plot they actually went through on so many of the episodes.
They should have done.
They should have. We have to acknowledge that Red Wing is finally fixed. Yay!
Yes, that's true. By the Wakandans, though.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Now it'll never break. Okay, but that scene on the helicopter where he, hacks into her headphones and then says, oh, when you say one, run to the front of the plane. I loved that. I thought that was great. It was a bit silly as to how on earth she's going to clamber over 3 people. But I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that scene a lot. Sam being like, yeah, but I'm a little busy. I'm coming back, I promise.
The whole, yeah, I mean, all of the action in this. I mean, I'm just specifically focusing on the flight stuff. So when he's flying and when he's doing the helicopter chase. As far as TV series go, it was so well done. It was really well done. I mean, if you thought that the action sequence in the first episode was awesome, then this kind of blows it out of the water. I think this is definitely the better of the two. I do think it was slightly helped by the fact that they were shooting it at night. Therefore, the animation could be easily hidden.
Yes. And
the edits were quite sharp and all over the place. It felt like they never... I mean, I know what they're doing. They're trying to make it feel dynamic.
Yes.
And that did work. But it was kind of a case of with the lighting and the cuts, it was like, I can't see what's happening at all. I'm just going to assume that Sam is flying somewhere.
No, that is true.
It was just little bits like that where you couldn't really get a grasp of what was going on.
The only reason why I could kind of justify that in my mind was the fact that Sam was kind of new to the suit. This was his first mission, with the shield and stuff, and it was a bit scrappy, and so to do the camera angles from his perspective where it was this kind of harsh cuts, I didn't mind it. I felt they got away with it, but I don't think you seem quite convinced.
Well, I know why they did it, basically. It did feel like a film.
I loved having the helicopter that was falling towards them and him just dinking them off with his wings. That was great. I thought that was so cool.
I knew you were going to... There were a lot of... How do I describe them? Almost like poster moments or photo moments. That one being, when he's on the bridge and, the wings basically form around him to do the shield. The helicopter bounces off. And then when he gets back up and the wings just kind of fold up. That was, I mean, that whole thing was awesome. And then at the very end, after all the action's over and he's basically hovering down, there was a, very angel moment. I can describe it as. I mean, not subtle at all. Still brilliant.
Yeah, no,
they had a lot of that in this, which I can't blame them for. I mean, it was awesome. Even, to be honest, even at the very beginning where he does throw the shield into the building, I reckon if you pause at that moment, that's like your screensaver moment.
No, that's true. Okay, my first question when it comes to this is, where the hell is Spider-Man? Because we're in New York.
You know what? I thought the exact same thing. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the last episode. Actually, is the fact that we're now based in New York. So where does Spider-Man show up?
Yeah, Exactly.
And all I can say at this point, me blindly trying to fill in plot holes, is that he's trapped in the multiverse. I can't answer that question until we've seen Spider-Man 3.
This is true. My thinking was maybe that was when he was abroad, but it still didn't quite fit for me.
No, this happens before. Oh crap! Actually, I've fallen into my own trap. Falcon and the Winter Soldier happens before Far From Home, so yeah, there's no reason why Spider-Man couldn't have shown up. I don't know. Maybe he was picking up his passport. So.
All night, James.
This is okay. That's true as well.
Yes, we could just move past that very large. As we said, the fastest way to travel is through a plot hole. So well done, or not appear. That's the other option.
I don't know. I mean, this is kind of the argument that every podcast YouTube channel had about every movie in Phase 2. It's like when in Winter Soldier, when Hydra tried to take over the world, where were the Avengers? When the Dark Elves were trying to do whatever they were trying to do, where were the Avengers? It was, I don't know, movie.
Very well. Okay, skipping over that very large point. Oh, sorry, just because we're on the helicopter bit, the bit where he goes, "Boy, you earned this ass whooping," which was Sam's line. It was just like, yes, Sam's owning it again. I'm just loving the just sass that comes out of it. Just please keep it, Marvel, please.
Make the most of it. Yeah.
Yes.
I get. All right. So I'm going to pick on that as well, or build on from that, I should say. There were quite a few moments where they could have made Sam too much like Steve.
Yes.
And one is during I think the more notable one is during the final fight scene with Carly. I think Carly's basically knocked him down, and she's telling him, like, stay down, so to speak. And he gets up, and it's at that moment that I was expecting him to say, I can do this all day. But he doesn't. And I think he just says no or something like that. And at that moment, I was kind of like, missed opportunity. But then when you think about it, the point is if he said the whole, I could do this all day, he's impersonating Steve Rogers, and that's not what this is about. This is about him becoming his own Captain America, being his own person, and living up to the legacy, I suppose. So I'm glad that they moved more towards Anthony Mackie's character, let's say, as opposed to him being a representation of Steve Rogers.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was really cool.
So, I've forgotten, in between this, Bucky steals a bike after he's been on this lovely long phone call with Carly. And he then joins the other 3 trucks that are full of employees of the GRC for the vote.
Yeah, it's the committee that are basically voting on deporting all of these people who have been displaced.
Yes. Yeah. And in walks John Walker with his slightly tweaked shield.
Right, okay, so that was a bit of a disappointment, because they made a big thing in the mid-credit scene about John Walker building his own shield, and I was expecting, like, it could have just been the original shield, other than the fact that Sam had it. There was no. I thought that was the moment where he will have tweaked the suit and become US agent. Yeah. Which we'll move on to later on, which build more on that. So I kind of felt like that whole mid-credit scene was. I suppose they kind of had to put it in to explain why he had another shield, but it felt like it was going to be a much bigger moment. Right?
Yes. It was his last hurrah of trying to be Captain America rather than him trying to be something new. Which was, I mean, I said the shield would be bad, and then Carly literally kicks it away, and you're like, yeah, maybe not your best move, John.
Well, okay. So in terms of John Walker, then, in terms of what he does in this episode, and I suppose where his arc concludes, what was your opinion on that?
I'm happy with it. I'm really I actually am with you that I thought the shield was going to be him becoming the US agent. Like, I almost wanted him to do something kind of cliche of like, I'm Captain US or something like that, of like realizing he can't be Captain America, but also trying to live up to what he thought that was. And then for it to just be, you're going to be given US agent at the end, I was like, okay. But I'm curious as to where that leads with that character, Fontaine,
yeah.
Yeah.
She's got many names.
Too many names. I was surprised that Bucky, to me, this episode was about the fact that John, my enemy's enemy is my friend, and John was that to Bucky and Sam this episode, in the same way that Sharon was. So I'm glad he kind of got to kind of join the fight, because that was the whole point of his arc, is that he just wanted to help. And what he actually did wrong was he thought he could lead them, and actually he needed to fall in behind them. So he finally got what he wanted, really, that he wanted to feel like he belonged. He wanted to feel back in a kind of team, which he did. So yeah, I'm happy with him. He actually gets to save some people, which is good. And he also gets that nice ego kind of punch of like, yeah, you're not Captain America. No,
Well,
I'm happy with it.
I see. This is it. I was surprised with his redemption arc. I didn't think he was going to be redeemed, for want of a better word, by the end of this season. I thought he was going to go. Like I said it in the previous episodes. Like I could see that it was going to be a case of he was going to take the serum, but then I thought it was very much more he was going to, well, go mad with power. At the end of the day, it was his anger. It was the soldier side of him that basically turned him away from the good path. And the fact that in this episode, yeah, he does have that initial fight with Carly and her goons and gets his ass kicked. And I think in terms of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, there was an element to that, at least to start off with. But it was the moment where I think Carly's running away, and it's that choice. It's the case of, right, well, do I go after her and get my revenge, or do I let her go and save these people? And I thought he was going to go for Carly, and he didn't. He went to try and he couldn't. Like, he struggled. That's when Sam had to come in, but he still tried. In terms of that, how then he and Bucky worked together to capture the rest of them, while Sam went and dealt off with Carly. I don't know. It did feel very organic, but it wasn't the ending that I was expecting. I thought he was.
I mean, that is what the guy said.
Much...
The guy who created this, Malcolm, said he didn't want it to be predictable at every turn. You don't know how it's going to end.
Well, I think for the majority of the series, it has been, on the whole, predictable. That was probably the biggest. That was the moment that I was most surprised of, just because I thought they were just going to go down full villain route, or the descent of the hero kind of path. So the fact that he hasn't ended this series as a villain yet, I enjoyed. I thought that was a surprise.
I think okay, there's two sides to this. To me, it worked for the character because I think his whole point of his character was, I've done something stupid. Actually, I've done quite a few things stupid. But I am a good guy. And that, I think, was very much what they wanted to say. But I agree with you that in terms of other Captain America storylines, characters, particularly Bucky, there is a degree of cop-out of like, no, he could have gone full villain, full kind of evil. And that also would have worked. And he also would have joined them, but had this kind of separate identity. But I think they want to keep him closer to Captain America, as it were. Keep him as a possible team-up option if they need. But I agree with you, it's a shame.
Yeah, the whole thing with John Walker and Carly, like, even at the end of the day, Carly was still the one who was causing all the trouble. She was still, for want of a better word, the villain of this series or the episode or whatever. But even the way that Sam speaks about her in the end, like when she's speaking to the GRC committee about the fact that, like, her people will call you guys terrorists and you're calling her a terrorist, you've got to stop using that word. I've said it before, like, the whole villain idea is kind of, it's not black and white in this series, and that's obviously been deliberately done. And it's where I was coming with my argument, like, is John Walker different to Carly? They're both fighting for something. It's just they're on opposing sides. And it's the same with real world scenarios where at the end of the day, basically both sides are going to see each other as the villain of their story. That's the only way I can describe it. And I think that this series did that very well, which is why I kind of like the fact that John Walker isn't the black and white villain at the end of this series. He is still the grey character he is trying to do good, and he finds his way back. We'll see what happens when he is revisited, because at the end of the day, I don't think that Contessa Fontaine, or whatever her name is, has good intentions.
No, definitely not.
So I think it's going to be a case of he's going to end up being manipulated by her and become some sort of villain, even if he doesn't know it. But I suppose it depends on how they're going to utilize both of those characters in the future.
That's true. Well, I suppose it would add to his arc if he thinks that was what I think that moment where he's so happy to be US agent, and you're like, you're just going to get manipulated, and we know it. We can see it a mile off. But your want for good intentions and to trusting people is totally a problem.
Well, he's been given purpose by Fontaine now. So this is it. Like, at the end of the day, he can't be Captain America, because at the end of the day, there is another Captain America. And again, it's kind of one of those cheesy lines, but even when Fontaine says, we're not going to need another Captain America, we're going to need a US agent.
Yes.
I quite like that as well. I thought, yes, there it is. There's the name. But at the end of the day, yeah, she has, to a point, given him a title, given him a status almost. And yeah, I think she's definitely going to manipulate him in some respect.
Oh, definitely.
But we'll have to find out. I still think they're gearing up to some sort of Suicide Squad.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
I'm quite keen for that. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yes, please. That would be awesome.
While we're on that, actually, the fact that at the end, when Carly, the Flag Smashers are put in that truck, and then the truck is exploded by Zemo's associates, finally for me was like, finally, that's why you put him in the prison, so you could do this pickup. Okay, fine. But
do you have any idea how long it took me to realise that old man in the car was Zemo's butler?
Yeah, okay, no, yeah.
So the van explodes and it cuts to the guy. At the end of the day, I know it then cuts to Zemo in prison listening to it on the radio. But I was thinking, who's this guy? They can't be introducing new characters now.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
Or is this them setting up some other universe? I don't know.
Well, I missed that. I missed that was the butler. But now you said that, that's really obvious.
No, it was the butler from the plane, from Zemo's plane. But this is what I mean. It was so like quick and sort of thrown away. At the end of the day, I mean, who else is supposed to recognise that was Zemo's butler?
The nerd fans, James.
At the end of the day, it was still Zemo managing to complete his mission, so to speak. He managed to get rid of
his mission and be more effective than them. Yeah.
Be more effective than who, though? Because at the end of the day, they were never intending to kill them.
That's true.
That was always Zemo's plan.
Yeah, okay. Zemo plays the long game, I suppose. And that's what's always kind of cool about him.
I'm still annoyed that we didn't get a cameo or like a little end credit scene with Zemo. I honestly thought there was going to be some sort of tease for this Suicide Squad Thunderbolts thing.
Nah.
Because I'm convinced...
He's in prison, this is perfect. You can pick him up whenever you need. We know exactly where he is.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's happened. It's a case of, right, well, we'll put him to the side. He's still out there.
Yeah.
We took him out of prison. We took him out of prison to use him in the series, and then we put him back in prison for when we need him again. So yeah, it works out perfectly.
I'm still annoyed, right? This is a thing about the Flag Smashers that annoys me, particularly Carly, is that they put the masks on to do something, and then, in the fight and stuff, they take them off. So they're only on for like a really short amount of time, usually to just create havoc randomly, and then it's like, and now I need to talk, so I have to take this off. That was kind of annoying. Because
you need to see their face when they're acting.
Yeah. Come up with a better solution, guys. Just be.
No, I think that was, again, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before either, but it's part of the reason why in a lot of the later films, Chris Evans doesn't wear the helmet for Captain America. I'm sure I read somewhere that it was like, but I think his agent must have negotiated with the producers of the film saying that, no, Chris Evans' face needs to be on screen more. You can't be hiding it behind a mask or half hiding it behind a mask. So yeah, that's why I think for some part he just gets rid of the mask entirely.
Yeah.
I think it's in Age of Ultron actually. I think in Age of Ultron, because the entire end fight sequence he doesn't wear his helmet, which I found quite funny because we know it's Chris
Super
Evans.
Soldier. Yeah. He's outgrown it, James. That's what it is.
He wears it in Endgame, so.
This is true. I was told that apparently, after the whole discussion of Bucky only, he's naturally left-handed. Apparently, this is a shot that has been put together, but people have re-watched Winter Soldier and realised that when Bucky's under the control of... Oh, you can see where this is going.
No, but I'm just... This is... Yeah, go on. I'll react to it when you say it.
When he's under the control of Zemo, he's using his non-metal arm when he's Bucky as his primary, and then when he's in Winter Soldier, it's...
Well, I mean, are we talking about? I mean, so this is the stuff that you've been reading. Are we talking about at the moment in the series where Zemo is controlling Bucky? Are we talking in Civil War?
Civil War.
Right, well, that's fair enough, because when he's using the code word, he becomes the Winter Soldier, and at the end of the day, the Winter Soldier is going to use his weapon arm as his primary arm, whereas Bucky is no longer the Winter Soldier, he is himself, so yes, if he's right-handed, then he defaults to his right hand. It's as simple as that.
No,
it's kind of like, it's the two sides of him Yeah, I quite like that detail actually. I
Yeah.
haven't noticed that. I suppose it makes sense, but yeah. No, I like the fact that there is that little detail and it just adds a bit more weight to the fact that he is right-handed. And the fact that Sam says, like, why didn't you use the metal arm? It's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm right-handed. I don't think of it as something else.
No, that was cool.
I thought you were going to say, sorry, I thought the reason I was like sighing internally
Yes.
was
Yeah.
why
What were you
I
gonna
thought,
say?
well, I thought you were going to say something like, oh, well, someone's rewatched Winter Soldier and actually he favors his left arm all the time. And like, come on, get on with
Sorry.
it.
No, I'm not that nerdy.
No, but
I'm sure there is somewhere out there.
Yeah. No disrespect
Oh,
to
dear.
those people, by the way.
No.
I mean, there's a reason that we're here talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Embrace your nerd. Yes. Embrace your nerd. But I won't be doing that. So then we cut to the next bit is Carly and Sharon, and I'm disappointed in you. Oh, how could we know that Sharon was somehow behind the whole thing? Ah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, I've said this earlier on. Yeah, I mean, we got the
disappointed.
confirmation that we wanted. That was, I think, that's part of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, with that whole thing, it was when Bartok or Batrock or whatever the French guy's called,
Yes.
when he steps into the room and he says, so you're the power broker, and she ends up killing him, and then trying to take out Carly, but then obviously altercations happen. There's just a cold, like she's straight up villain now, basically. There's not really, I don't see a grey area with her like we have done with Carly and like we have done with John Walker. She is well and truly, just gone bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I mean, awesome. I think Emily Van Camp does that really well. I think she's playing that part. She's owning it.
I think you have a
hope that
little crush there, James. No.
Well, yeah. Sorry, you've just lost my train of thought now. Well done for that. No, I think it, like I say, I think they should have used her better in the series. I think in episode 3, they did a really good job with her, and then they just ditched her.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then obviously she came back for this, and then there was, I don't know. Well, I've lost my train of thought. You've completely put me off now.
I'm so sorry. She's the villain. She's now embracing being the villain. She should have been used more. There should have been more of an arc there. I'll give you that. Definitely.
There should have been more of an arc. I suppose part of the problem was the fact that to do the arc, they kind of needed to make that reveal sooner, and they were never going to do that.
But they kind of already did. That was most ridiculous. Is we all were like, oh, so she's the power broker. Okay. Like,
yeah, but they didn't. Yeah, well, I don't know. They didn't make it. Yeah. They'll have only have made that work if they'd had like 3 seasons of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's like Line of Duty and Who is H. They needed to sort of.
I still haven't seen any of that. Sorry.
Just gonna sidetrack that.
So, yes, and then Sharon, the French guy who we've been hearing all about, she finally got to shoot him in a very drawn out moment where it was very obvious that Sam couldn't kill him, so Sharon was going to kill him. Did you think that it was like, and wait for it, there we go?
No, because it kind of, unless he was going to go all Man of Steel, Sam was never going to kill him. I suppose it was a case of, right, okay, well, here's this villain who basically we've done nothing with, let's just kill him off. Because that'll show that Sharon has gone to full evil. So, I don't know, I didn't really read much into that. It was a case of, well, we've got this disposable villain, let's just kill him off.
True.
Yeah, it was more the fact that...
I'm sure he can have a brother who comes back and, messes everything up for the Avengers.
Nah.
Yeah, he'll be in the prison with Zemo.
Nah, who cares? I suppose that was more of a case with Carly.
True.
So you've got the whole fight sequence between Sam and Carly, which I thought was also very well done, because at the end of the day, I do forget that Sam's not got super soldier serum, and Carly does in this fight. So I think there's a point where Carly basically just punches at the shield, and Sam has to like dig his wings into the ground to stay put.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice way of doing that, and the way that he's able to kind of go toe to toe with her without having those powers was really cool. But yeah, in terms of what you were saying before, in that whole sequence, it was a case of, right, okay, well, Sam's not going to be able to kill her, but we know one person in the room who will. The one person who knows who can expose her for who she is. And obviously, Carly doesn't get that opportunity, which means that it can be sorted out in a future series.
Yeah. You're right. It was just a little bit disappointing. But we've discussed this, so I think we're good on disappointment.
Which part specifically was disappointing for you?
That they're just gonna wait for Sharon to just later on mess up, and then people are gonna put it together. And my guess is it'll be something to do with Thingy Dreyfus, the actress's name. I can't pick one of the names. Fontana. What's her name?
Contessa Fontaine.
Contessa, yeah. So it'll
Val.
be somehow.
Let's just call her Val.
Val, yes.
She hates
Val.
it, but let's call her Val.
Yeah, it'll be somehow. So she'll be. I feel like she'll be somehow connected with Val in the next installment piece, whichever is coming next.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, the question of whether there's going to be a season 2 is still something that is like. Is that even being talked about? I mean, I know they've confirmed that Malcolm's back for Captain America 4. But
yeah, well, this is it. Yeah, so after this episode aired, they started. I think have they confirmed that there is a Captain America 4 in development? Because
yes.
I think the writers of this series are tagged to that project.
Yes, no, it is confirmed.
So I so far the only series I know there's talk of the Loki series having multiple seasons, but I think as far as like with the likes of WandaVision and with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't think they're going to be second seasons, so to speak. There are going to be other TV projects where these characters will appear. I mean, it's all part of the same universe, but whereas you've got the movies that are all connected, you'll have the series that are all connected. Because let's face it, that's what Disney wants to do these days.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Right, there's a bit where Bucky turns round to, I think it's the Flag Smashers, and is like, haha, see, look how apps work, or something. Do you know which bit I'm talking about?
Yes.
A, he just looked like an old man, and B, is that the app? That was the app for the Flag Smashers, right?
Yeah, the remaining Flag Smashers that weren't Carly were getting lured to a specific location, like a rendezvous, so to speak. I don't know if they thought it was Carly or someone else, but the fact is, yeah, they're all connected through this app, and they've just been led into a trap. But there is that nice moment where I think it's John Walker who says it. He says a quote by Lincoln or something like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, great man. And he goes, it's a great man, not when you say it.
Yeah. This is like, I don't know. It's like he's trying to be one of the guys, and Bucky's like, no, you're not there yet. which I quite liked.
Definitely.
Sorry, I'm going to move back slightly, again, to the moment where Sharon shoots Carly.
Yes.
So there's two moments in this episode, which, again, I'm going back to the fact of they either, I suppose, did too much or did too little. One of which is the fact that after Sam has done his speech, him and Bucky are walking away. They find Sharon, who's injured, and obviously they need to get to hospital. There's no real, not confrontation necessarily, but the fact that Sam doesn't really address the fact that Sharon did straight up shoot Carly. There wasn't any sort of questioning or anything like that. It was kind of just like I think she does say something along the lines of like, I'm glad I did it, because in the day, the argument is that Carly would have killed Sam. But I don't know. It's kind of the point of...
There's quite a lot of grey areas in this series. Like John Walker killing the Flag Smasher publicly. There doesn't seem to be anything else. Really, any ramifications for that? Like, I know he quit the army, but I don't know.
He didn't quit the army. He got a less than dishonourable discharge or something like that.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? There's still kind of like...
But yeah, you're quite right. He hasn't quite had the repercussions, yeah.
And I felt the same with Sharon on that.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose they're playing with the time they've got left, but because there was that moment, and I've addressed this before, when Sharon kills the guy in the van, and Sam says mid combat, "How did you manage that?" And it's the fact that she's basically killed two people effectively in cold blood, not even in self defense to a point, and there's no real questioning of that, because at the end of the day, Sam, I don't think he's killed anyone in this episode. Yeah, because even the guy he knocks out of the helicopter ends up in the river, and I think he goes to get him as well. So yeah, it was despite the fact that Carly didn't get a chance to reveal that Sharon was the power broker, I felt like there needed to be a little moment of Sam almost giving Sharon a questionable look in terms of this isn't the Sharon I know kind of thing, which we didn't really get.
I think we should talk about Sam's speech. So
it's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
I loved it. Character development, a message, a internal conflict projected through a speech. The fact that he actually addressed the kind of government, and in fact it was all on like public recorded, and then Isaiah saw it. I mean, come on, there's just so much here. Like, yay! Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where to start really. No, I mean, the whole thing was really, yeah, it was brilliant. It was really good. It brings everything full circle, I suppose, in terms of the character development. The character development that we didn't really consistently get across the 6 episodes, and maybe across 3 or 4 of them. It all does come full circle.
Everyone's distrustful of the Avengers, which was very well established. And this was a chance for him to publicly kind of prove it, that he was going to defend them, and you make the next terrorist based off your previous error. Like, that's a kind of, a known idea. And he was able to say that publicly, and that he was listened to. I hope that was a kind of like a step in the right direction on that one. Yeah.
We could go on and on about the actual dialogue, so to speak, and Anthony Mackie smashed that.
Yep.
But there was just little bits like the fact that you've got to stop calling her a terrorist because her people believe you're the terrorist because you're trying to displace them. You're trying to get rid of them. You're going to be sending soldiers to get rid of them. Like, how do you think they view you? But also, I think the slight detail that I did like was the fact that he wasn't talking to camera. Yes, the news was all around him, so to speak, and obviously they were listening into the conversation, but he wasn't like addressing the people. He was addressing the decision makers, so to speak, and like that whole speech was directed at them. And the fact that the cameras were there were kind of just like a secondary thing, which I think worked really well. I mean, if you turned around to the press and started doing this big speech to them, I don't think it would have had the same impact.
He's not Tony Stark. Yeah, he's not going to do that. Absolutely.
I like that little detail. And yeah, the whole thing about how whenever he puts this suit on, he knows that there will be people out there who hate him for it. And then it cuts to Isaiah, and it's like, that whole thing was brilliant.
Isaiah's son has got to be in this. Like, he's just so cool. Please bring him back.
Well, I mean, in terms of that speech and in terms of Sam's character, I know we're talking about character a lot here, but this is the cultivation of it. It just, it's the whole, he's accepted that people are going to hate him for it. People aren't going to agree with the fact that he is Captain America, but he's still going to do it. Yes. He's still going to go for it. Yeah, I don't know, something nice about that. The thing is, with this entire series, it's like we were saying before, when he appears in the next Captain America, you don't need to have all this context, but it kind of enriches his character because of it. You don't necessarily need it, but you get the backstory to probably appreciate him in the next movie appearance, I suppose.
Yeah, the difficulty of him picking up that shield, I think it was, I have to admit, through the Isaiah character, it was definitely fully fledged out, and the kind of the decision that Sam ultimately makes. I'm really happy with the series that it did try and talk about these big topics, and it did try and talk about racism in America today and Black Lives Matter, and which is great. There's some moments of this series which I'm a bit disappointed that I don't know if it was to do with the fact that they had to do these rewrites, but I'm sorry it's not as quite well rounded as at moments as I hoped it would be. But I'm still happy with it.
So what specifically though?
Well, I think as we discussed it, like,
or examples, I suppose.
3 and 4, episodes 3 and 4 for me were just kind of disappointing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could definitely pick out a couple of these episodes, or have condensed a couple of these episodes or plot lines or something like that, and then had a more tightly knit series, so to speak.
Definitely.
Because we've talked about this in the previous episodes. There's no necessary character development, or at least for Bucky and Sam. I think it was the whole thing to Madripoor, really. I mean, the whole thing with the power broker and stuff like that, it was kind of like they needed that to, I don't know, bring in Zemo and put him into place, bring in Sharon, put her into place. But it was those moments where we were saying that their characters were more interesting than Sam and Bucky, and at the end of the day, that's a problem.
Yeah, fundamentally.
You could have cut out that section. You could have still kept John Walker. You could have still kept Carly, and then had that follow through and focus on those characters as opposed to setting up these other characters. So I do agree with you on that. I think it was less consistent than, say, WandaVision.
Definitely. I did like the line, when the government guy comes to get him and he goes, "What's up?" and he goes, "Can you help?" and Sam goes, "Always." And I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
I mean, right, so there's 2 other moments that we do have to address before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
One, we'll end on the really nice one. But one, so Bucky going to admit the fact that he killed the old man's son. I'm going to
Yes.
let you take the lead on this one.
Well, we got further than last time than we expected. He actually managed to knock on the door. He managed to get in, and he actually managed to say, "Your son was murdered by the Winter Soldier," which was me. And then it cut. So I see this as a kind of win, James. I don't know what you're talking about.
I predicted last week that it was going to be a case of, he knocks on the door, he says, "I need to tell you something." He goes inside, the door closes, and that's all we hear. There's a part of me that kind of wishes that's what had happened, because
Yeah.
I felt like with that moment, at the end of the day, they were committing to having some sort of lengthy conversation, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was almost like they cut it short too quickly. They either needed to do it, so yes, it was the cop out, let's say. Your mind kind of races in terms of how that conversation happened, and then you still get the emotional beat from that, or you have the full scene. And I don't think we got.
I was a little annoyed about that because I thought they could have done something a little bit more, like his face reacting to it or something. But then they also did the shot of Bucky going back to the restaurant that they go to with the girl he nearly asked out in episode 1, and the two of them just looking at him. And I actually thought that was the cop out for me, because I was like, she doesn't even get to address the fact that like she now knows that Bucky did this as well.
We don't know that.
And that, well, it was kind of knowing that something had happened.
Well, we know that she probably gets an inkling that something happened, because at the end of the day he's there without Bucky. But I don't know. I don't know. We don't know either way. But you're assuming. I don't think there was anything. I would have expected if she knew, there would have been a bit more hostility. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I agree. There would have been a bit more hostility in terms of that glance. But I think it was more a case of something had happened, and Bucky was obviously walking past. He saw. I don't know the old guy's name, but
I don't know. I thought it was that he was going to do his normal like Wednesday meal with them, and that it was like, oh, actually, no, we can't.
No, I think it was more a case of he told them the truth, and however that this is it. We don't know how that conversation ended, and if it was a case of him saying like, I don't want to see you again. Bucky still admitted it. He's still got it off his chest. He's given him that closure, but at the end of the day, it's kind of ruined whatever friendship they had. So that's why he was kind of walking past. He was seeing him there dining on his own, but knows he can't go in. He can't face that for X amount of reasons.
To me, I'll be honest, this whole episode with Bucky has been a bit of a problem for me, because it also ends with him leaving his book for the shrink, even after she said that finishing the book won't make you feel any better. So to me, I actually say, this is a recurring thing with the series, that if you get plot or character development in regards to one character, you lose it in regards to the other one.
I don't know. I'm still going to slightly disagree with you there. I know what you mean in terms of that, like crossing off those names won't give you peace or whatever, words to that effect. But again, this is a tiny little detail that you could pick up on. But the book, not all of the names in the book are crossed off.
But most of them are.
But I think it's more a case of, because that then cuts to Bucky going to Sam and the community, and there's that. I love that whole thing, by the way. The whole thing where
that is true.
They're at this kind of like barbecue
celebration
at the harbour
and
all that, and he's he's part of the community almost, and he's kind of like found his place. He's found a family to a point. I think the fact that he dropped the book back was the fact that he's saying to the therapist that he doesn't need that anymore. He's kind of found a middle ground. He's found a semblance of peace. And yeah, he doesn't need to.
It was just a bit quick, but they had to wrap it up.
Yeah.
What did you think? So what was your kind of, are you happy with how they've ended Bucky or not?
I think my problem is, I like where they've ended Bucky. Again, I think this is the whole thing, that the series is redundant to the film. Because again, Bucky could reappear in the next movie or whatever, and you don't need all this context. You don't need to know how he's been struggling with real life, so to speak. But the thing with Bucky is the fact that by the end of this series, he's the sidekick again.
Yes, no, that is true.
Because it's like I was saying earlier on, in a lot of Bucky's nice moments are reacting to Sam as Captain America, and it's a case of, in the same sense that Bucky was always by Steve's side when he was Captain America, or sorry, at least in the first Avenger, he's found that place again with the new Captain America. But it's arguably, again, this was more Sam's series. Well, it's not. I wouldn't even say that. But by the
It is Sam's series, yeah.
well,
it is,
I'd
no
argue
argument.
that, but again, we've had the episodes where Sam and Bucky were the least interesting characters or least undeveloped characters. But by the end, anyway,
This is
it
true.
is a case of this is more about Sam's journey than Bucky's. Bucky is kind of like the side character, which I didn't really like. I do agree that they could have probably done more with Bucky's development. I suppose it was more a fact that they didn't have the. At the end of the day, Sam had his arc come full circle when he did the speech and when he addressed the fact that it was addressing the things that Asai was saying in terms of like they can't, like they'll never accept a black Captain America. Bucky didn't really have that big crescendo of development, so to speak. It was kind of that was overshadowed by Sam's arc. So yeah, that doesn't really answer my question.
He deserved it. It was a stronger arc.
Yeah. It was a stronger arc, and I think you are quite right. I think in terms of him coming to terms and accepting. I mean, we have that moment where Sam, in the earlier episode, where Sam and Bucky are having that conversation, and Sam's saying, if you want to get out of this hole, you've got to do the work.
Yes.
But maybe that moment came too late on in the series to kind of give it time to have that development. Because the next time we see Bucky, it is in New York, and they're taking out the Flag Smashers. But
yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I think by the end, I suppose, what I want to see is them as a duo in the next movie. I don't want it to be, here's Captain America and his sidekick, whatever Bucky's character is called. Or sorry, alias is called.
That's how it was before, though, surely. Like Steve was always number one.
Yeah, but then Sam was always number two, or Bucky was number two to Steve. Now you've got the two of them almost as a duo together. I suppose the difference is the fact that at the end of the day, Sam has got the shield and Sam has got the wings. He is a more versatile, cooler villain, while as all Bucky has is a metal arm. But they could still...
Yeah, I'll be honest, that final scene where Sam's the one that saves the car that's about to crash into the construction site, for me, he is going to be the main character and Bucky is going to be the number two. And Bucky was always to Steve the kind of, he'd catch the shield and stuff like that, but he was never going to be equal to Captain America. And I think that's going to continue. And I think he's okay with it. Bucky's the one that brings Captain America down to earth, and he's done it for Steve, and he'll do it for Sam.
Oh no! In terms of how Bucky sees himself, then absolutely yes. I think in terms of how the series and then the subsequent movies treat him, I'd prefer to see them, because otherwise in the next movie, what we're going to do is we're going to have more development, so to speak, of Sam and Captain America, and then Bucky's just going to be there, and I don't want that. I want more of Bucky. I want the two of them to be a duo, so to speak. Which I don't know. Maybe it does. It depends on what capacity it works, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The fact that the whole series was called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I know it's because they're both in it, but at the end of the day, by the end of it, it definitely felt more about...
They're both in it. They're the protagonists, but they're both in it.
But this is my point. So at the end of the day, if this was solely going to be about Sam and Captain America, then the Winter Soldier shouldn't have factored into it. But they've made this series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. At the end of the day, Sam comes out as the main character, and then Bucky is sort of relegated again to side character, which I think is a bit of a shame, because his storyline was maybe pushed a little aside.
I know, I always saw that as inevitable, I'll be honest.
Possibly. If this series was about Sam and Bucky, it definitely ended up becoming more of Sam.
No, that's true.
I don't know. I have really enjoyed this series. I'll definitely end up rewatching it at some point. I think WandaVision, as a week-by-week case, was definitely better, but I think that was partly because it was so out there and so weird and wonderful that you couldn't help but theorize and predict what was going to happen next, and then it always surprised you because it was completely bonkers. This was very much more by the numbers. There was less of that in between. It felt like this one could have been released almost all at once, and you can just binge it.
Yeah. I'm sorry it wasn't, I'll be honest. Like, part of me is sorry it wasn't, because it's...
Well, all released all at once?
Yeah, because it is more filmic.
Yeah.
Or even in, like, 2 parts. Or...
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a TV series still at the end of the day, so they'll
That's true.
Stretch it out for as long as they can, but... Yeah, it didn't have the same... It wasn't... I was still eager each week for the episode, but I think that's because it's a Marvel...
Content.
It's a Marvel... it's Marvel content. It was less eager in terms of like, I've got to find out what happens next. It was less about that in this one. It was a case of, okay, right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Whereas WandaVision was more, I need to know. I need to have the answers.
That's true. Okay, we haven't talked about Isaiah being taken by Sam into the museum.
Yeah, which was the thing I wanted to end on.
Statue. Yeah.
Because
No, absolutely.
Oh God, I think I was so close to tears. I thought that was Beautiful,
Me too. It was
beautiful
so
moment.
lovely.
And again, it's just Carl Lumley? Is that who the actor is of Isaiah? He just sells every scene. He was absolutely fantastic.
Carl Lumley, yeah.
Carl Lumley, yeah. Even in that, I thought it's just when like Sam goes back to see him before they go to the museum, and he just sells it. And oh god, yeah, no, the moment where he takes him into the museum and he sees this, and his son's with him as well, and he sees the statue and he's just struggling to keep himself together and hugs him. It was wonderful.
It was
That
so
was
sweet. And it was like, all he wanted was recognition and acceptance. And like, to be celebrated was just, it was just, yeah. He deserved to be in that space.
yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think. I think in terms of what he went through, I don't get the sense that Isaiah wanted recognition. He didn't want people to be like clap him on the back, so to speak.
No.
But it was
no,
but it was the fact that his story was being told,
Yes.
and while
He deserved to be in the history books,
yeah,
I think.
well, I think part of it is also because at the end of the day, I think as far as the world is concerned, Isaiah Bradley is dead. Like,
Yes.
I was thinking this through because we had that conversation where Isaiah's like, "Do you not think that I'd be dead in a week if you brought me out?" And Sam hasn't done that. I think, like, as far as Isaiah's neighbours are concerned, he won't be Isaiah Bradley. So the fact that there's this memorial, there's this statue now to him, while they won't know it's him who it's about, they'll know his story. And yeah, it's such a nice moment to end on. It was
So sweet. And yeah, just we wanted more of Isaiah. We wanted more of the story, and like to have done that was just like, yeah, that was the right thing to do, Sam. Finally you put something in the museum that doesn't completely backfire. No, I'm joking.
no.
That was very good. I'm just waiting for Isaiah's son. Like, where is he? Go on. Where's his super suit? I want his super suit.
It'll come. I mean,
hope so.
you've mentioned the Hawkeye series in the news section for this week.
Yes.
But again, it's kind of adding rumours to the fact that because Kaylee Steinfeld is playing Kate Bishop, who is the protege of Hawkeye.
Right. Yeah.
So again, it's the whole theory that what they're actually building up is the Young Avengers, of which Kate Bishop is a part of. So if Isaiah Bradley's son also gets moved into the fray,
Ooh, yay.
then it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
The thumbs up.
It'll end up being
Yay.
in some sort of TV series format, but it's going to happen.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So I've got to say, I've been very critical of the series, but actually I'm with you that it was very sweet at the end, and I did enjoy it. I have to. The last two episodes, I was really looking forward to this week's episode, definitely.
Yeah,
I
think maybe episode one was good setup, but then the other episodes were kind of
Zemo took.
Falling
I would say it
about.
was the first. Yeah, the first episode had the nice, canyon moment. Episode 2 was building up to Zemo. Zemo owed episode 3. 4 was a bit slow. 5's where they caught up all of the character development that they missed. And so 6 was kind of like just the icing on the cake for it.
Yeah. 2, 3, and 4 were basically
slow section.
Well, stuff happened. Like lots of stuff happened, but nothing that
Yes.
was deemed as like character development, so to speak, and I suppose plot development either. It's kind of like set piece to set piece or action piece to action piece. Whereas you've got your opening episode that sets everything up, and then obviously episode 5 where you get the character development and episode 6 where it becomes full circle because it needs to work week to week. I did really enjoy this series. I thought it was. I've said it again. It's by the numbers Marvel, but I still think they did some things differently, which I enjoyed, and particularly in the sense of you've got the grey area in terms of who's a villain and who's a hero, and the fact that they brought the whole race part into the storyline, I thought was very bold, and I'm glad. I mean, I said when we were talking about episode 2, I'm hoping they haven't just done it as a tick box exercise, and they didn't.
No,
they made it a thing. I was worried in episodes 3 and 4 because that whole thing vanished. But then they brought it back in 5 and 6.
Yeah, and it was back to, Sam can't run in heels, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
It was kind of, no.
Which is why I think, again, with like episodes 3 and 4 in particular, like while we do have some really cool moments, and those are the episodes where Zemo and Sharon definitely take over the show. And the Dora Milaje, the Wakandans, they take over the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why it felt a little off and a little disjointed in terms of the series consistency. But then at the end of the day, as far as Asai was concerned, yeah, they picked it back up and knocked it out of the park when it came to episodes 5 and 6.
And the only thing we haven't actually discussed is the post-credit scene with Sharon getting her full pardon and answering the phone to, we're now going to have access to weapons, etc. So I think she's on the phone to the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character, I really do. But I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know. I think she was more a case of, I don't know where they're going to take Sharon. I mean, there's already theories that she's a Skrull, that she's one of the...
Yes, I have to admit that sentence made it feel like that.
That she's one of the shapeshifters and it's leading into Secret Invasion. But I suppose at this point, anyone could be a Skrull. It could be a case of anyone who's shifty, it's like they're a Skrull. That will be the hot theory. That will be the Mephisto of the next few series of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't know. I don't know if she was on the phone to Val, as we'll call her, or if she was just on the phone to like her assistant back in Madripoor. Like, well, we've got secrets to sell. I was just a little disappointed by, considering at the end of WandaVision we had 3 mid-credit scenes, all setting up respective elements, and
yes,
the fact that all we got at the end of this one was Sharon getting a pardon, and like that added nothing really. All we know is that she's getting a pardon and she's going to be working for some government agency, whether or not that's S.H.I.E.L.D., whether it's SWORD, or whether it's something else entirely, and that she's going to be selling those secrets to the highest bidder. It didn't really tell us anything extra about what's going to happen, who she is.
True.
And I was just, yeah.
It was a shame we didn't get another Zemo moment, to be honest, in the prison that gave you some kind of inkling of what's happening next. I agree that would have, or Sharon with meeting someone in SWORD. Either of those would have been.
Yeah, I felt like as far as mid-credit scenes go, I don't know. I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, what are we going to get? What's the teaser we're going to get? And I was just a bit disappointed by that because, yeah, with WandaVision, we got the setting up of Captain Marvel 2. We also got the setting up of the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah,
there was no setup. Yeah.
So it was.
So yeah, I'm a little annoyed on that one. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm willing to look past that.
Cool. I think that's it. We did. We survived Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Don't say it like that. It wasn't exactly a challenging thing to do.
That's true. No, this is true. This is true. But we're done.
We're done for now.
Until we realise that there's all these hidden meanings inside Falcon and Winter Soldier that on the next Marvel content we're like, oh my god, we missed this.
Well, this is it. I'll be interested. I'll be interested if anyone's got any theories or any of the details that we've missed. But if you are listening and you have still got theories about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, do send them in because we'd love to read them.
Yes.
And
destroy them.
No, not destroy. Well, she might destroy them. I'll defend them. I'll defend you.
You can find Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+. Thank you for listening to A Bit of Film podcast with Hatty and James. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to share it with your friends, families, and mortal enemies. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You can contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can always email us at abitoffilm@gmail.com with new theories, opinions, and comments. We'd love to read them.